Good to see all of you. Let me tell you, this is why we do it, baby. It's for the community. And, sometimes a community can hold you accountable. A community can keep you sane. A community is one you can go to for help and guidance and, like I said, accountability and, to seek out information. But also, a community is about reminders. And, last night, we all go through the stuff, not that I'm going through anything. Please don't think that. But, there's always these moments in life where you're doing everything when maybe it should be God. Where I'm not dictating my path, but I think I am. Or I'm trying to dictate my path, but I'm not letting God do that. And I thought about that last night. I said, Brad, have you been trying to dictate your own path rather than leaving that type of guidance up to the Lord? And I don't know. It's one of those things that it weighed heavy on my heart. Prayed about it last night. And I thought, you know what? There might be a patriot in the chat that needs to hear that. I don't know, maybe. But it was heavy on my heart where sometimes you need to just let go. And stop trying to dictate everything yourself and just let the Lord decide what your path in life should be. That doesn't mean that you just flop over like a turtle and don't try to do things. That's not what I'm saying. But you still have to have some sense of there is a higher being that is trying to guide you in the steps that is necessary that will lead you closer to him. I don't know. That weighed heavy on my heart. Thought I would share that with some of you. But it's good to see all of you. Good morning. Glad to be back with everybody here on the Bald Brad Show. All righty. Well, Trump is bringing America back, and it's not just through the stock market, folks. Matter of fact, we didn't even look at that yesterday. Let's take a little peeky at what the market is looking like today and over the last couple days. He's not just bringing the markets back. He is also bringing American cities back. So here's a little peek while I'm talking at the stock market. It's currently up 5% since Donald Trump's been in office. But he's making grocery prices great again. He's making fuel prices great again. He's making your cities safe again. He is solving wars across the globe. This guy's working at all hours. And like I mentioned, if we go the next 3.5 years and things look like this, where the economy's still going up, your real wages are going up, inflation stays steady, your grocery bill's great, you got your tax cut, we got the border secured, we're doing this, bada bing, bada boom, solving wars, we get peace here, hopefully by tomorrow we can have peace. Let's, fingers crossed, not a peace on earth, I don't want a peace on earth. Let's hope we get some of that. If we can get that, can somebody justify why he would not be the greatest president in American history? And I'm not talking about modern history. I'm talking about in American history. I really, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Trump fan. You guys know I voted for the guy 3 times. I really can't wrap my head around it. And the other thing I can't wrap my head around is the fact that there's people on TikTok every day saying Trump's not good for America. Trump's not great for America. It's like, bro, where were you the last 4 years talking about Joey? Some people's like, I'm not saying you got to like Trump, but some of your wires are crossed, man, over there on the progressive left side of the aisle, dude. Your wires are really crossed. You're like one of those people we used to see trying to bite their own ear on the corner of some freaking block. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know, trying to do that or trying to eat their nose. Bunch of weirdos. Anyways, DC crackdown yields hundreds of arrests. Here's some updates on Donald Trump making DC great and safe again. The guy's doing it all. So now the guy's not only running the federal government, but now the guy's going to take control of cities and go, look, if you don't want to do it, fine. One guy will do it. I will do it myself if you don't want to do it. What can't Trump do? Just days after President Trump federalized the Washington, D.C. police force, a massive influx of National Guard troops and federal agents has resulted in over 100 arrests now. Remember, I believe there's only 23. I should say only. There's 23 arrests, I think, the other day, of which Caroline Leavitt said that on the podium during the White House press briefing. Well, now they're over 100 arrests as the administration plans to seek a long-term extension of its control. It seems to be working so well. Hours after Trump's announcement on Monday, National Guardsmen and federal agents from the FBI, DEA, ATF began sweeping the streets of the nation's capital. Isn't it nice to see how Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have sent out the FBI to, I don't know, actually do their jobs rather than fabricating evidence to go against a president? That's kind of nice to see again. I don't know about you, but every now and then during the last 6 months, going on 7 months here, I have felt various times of nostalgia from the 90s. Now, I know Clinton was there. Some of you might have felt that nostalgia going back to the 80s. But I know for me, it was just something I was used to of seeing our FBI, DEA always out there with these drug busts, or like we got these mass criminals in like the hundreds or whatever, and they're out there on the news, and I would walk in the living room and it would be on TV. And then for some reason, from Obama's time to like Joe's time, it just like disappeared. I went like over a decade. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it wasn't like on the news all the time where you're kind of seeing, whoa, huge drug bust. Kash Patel comes in, and then you're seeing it like the first week. Hey, we got 100 people, like a ton of cocaine is off the streets. It's like, whoa. So it's nice to see these men and women of our law enforcement, and shout out to them for doing a great job, because they're the ones that are making people safe. They're the ones that are making our community safe. And that's what we need. And by the way, the communities that aren't safe are the ones that are being the most harmed, not just literally, right, by the crime, but also businesses are getting out of those areas. I mean, this has been a long talking point where, and I think I even talk about it in my book, Trojan Horse, where why would you want to invest in an inner city that's dilapidated and has a ton of crime? There's a reason why grocery stores or liquor stores or whatever store is there tends to have more expensive goods in low income, high crime areas, because they have to pay for the security, the insurance is higher, the liability is there. Sometimes they have to hire security, all these things. So they got to pass that on to the consumer. So the sad thing is that if you're in a low income, high crime area, well, now you just got double whammied. So people don't even want to invest in those areas. You need to clean that up by getting out our law enforcement to make sure those places are safe. And then you could uplift those places by getting more businesses in there, because it's safe. I know it's a novel idea. 33 for firearm offenses, and then 23 illegal immigrants were just getting started, FBI Director Kash Patel said. I love that phrase. We're just getting started. Love it. Shout out to Kash Patel, Dan Bongino for doing their job. Look, I know we don't have the Epstein files. We all want them, but at least we're getting other stuff here, while maybe, hopefully we get them. The Epstein stuff is kind of really almost went by the wayside here. I hope it does come back, because I think we still need some answers from that. And that was what was promised. Now, is it a drastic deal? Kind of. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say it's a small deal. I would like to know what the heck's going on with that. But moving forward, again, the big news here in the next, I guess now 24 hours, 48 hours, is Trump and Putin meet in high stakes summit. Let's see if there's any gems here. Now, I didn't open this up, be like, oh, Brad, we already know that they're meeting tomorrow. Yes, but the hype is building, and a lot of people that aren't even involved in this war want to see it ended, including myself. And that was also one of the reasons why I brought up, a little bit of faith or religion. Look, I'm not saying you have to be Christian or even Jewish or Catholic or anything of that nature. You could follow some sort of faith and still rely on a greater being guiding your footsteps in life. And one of the things that I have fallen short on this show, and kind of lost my way in a sense, is going back to my roots of the show of talking about God every now and then. I mean, I'm a conservative show. I used to talk a lot more about ideals and all these things, and I would like to try to go back to that a little bit. No, nothing's changing, but that's how the show used to be. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but most of you have been with me for 4 years, so that shouldn't be news to you. But in the same way, I'm hoping through the power of prayer and guidance and wisdom that hopefully both the Lord could give Putin and Trump, that we could resolve this thing and we could save a lot of lives here. It is terrible. Look, it's young men that have to go fight this stuff. And you don't see Putin getting his ass up and going and fighting this, do you? Now he gets to sit in his nice little palace area over there. That's all nice looking. Doesn't have to do nothing. And just sending guys off to just get exploded. So President Vladimir Putin and President Trump are set to meet face to face in Alaska tomorrow for a highly anticipated summit aimed at negotiating an end to the war in Ukraine. All eyes are going to be on this tomorrow. This is what the news is tomorrow. The summit is the first in-person meeting between the two leaders since Trump returned to the White House and is being framed by his administration as a listening exercise. According to Victoria Coates of the Heritage Foundation, significant economic pressure from the U.S. is a key factor in bringing Putin to the negotiating table. The president's very harsh with India recently, Coates told the Morning Wire, I think it shows he really wants to get their attention, really wants to get them off Russian gas, and that's what's going to truly bring Putin to the table. I mean, he's not wrong. And by the way, if you want to get China in line, you need to get all the other nations in line to stop purchasing as much stuff from China and start purchasing from America, or at least our allies. And that way you basically choke out Russia and China to the point where they have to bend the knee. Now, the problem is both Russia and China are very thick-headed people. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. These people will go through a lot. And I mean, if you want an example, look at Mao. The Mao revolution, you have the Cultural Revolution. You have, the great... what's the word I'm looking for? It's not the Great Reset. I can't think of the word off the top of my head. But what those people went through, they were resilient, man, and what they had to deal with under Mao. Let me tell you. So these are strong people. The Chinese, the Russians. I understand the Russians were under Mao, but you get what I'm saying. Discussions will likely focus on territorial swaps. Everybody knows that's coming. Recent comments from both Putin and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky suggest a slight softening of their positions. There has to be. If you're going to be Zelensky, look, bro, I hate to tell you, man, you have some cards. Those cards were given to you by somebody else. And that would be the United States of America, and maybe one card, a half-torn card from NATO. Other than that, I don't see a situation in which, again, Vladimir Zelensky is not giving up some land. My problem is that what's stopping this from happening again? What's stopping Russia from invading Ukraine again? The answer to that really, and here's the problem. You can't send in NATO allies to, kind of like we have with the mineral deal with Ukraine. There are areas that are pretty close to Russia over there that we have basically a mineral deal with. It's part of our negotiation with Vladimir Zelensky. And so the purpose of that is, well, yeah, we get minerals out of it. We get a good deal. But also there's kind of pressure on Russia not to do anything because they know that, well, that's not American territory, but that's American. God, I'm losing my words today. American, not commitment, but like commodity in a way. And you're going to have to deal with us now, whereas before you didn't. So in the same way, it's like you almost want to put some sort of safeguard in place right there. But the problem is that's kind of one of the talking points of this whole thing wasn't just, well, this was Russian land in the first place. Putin has had a problem with NATO kind of encroaching upon his borders to begin with. And so if you put some sort of NATO ally there in the area to make it sure that it doesn't happen again, well, that's a problem. I mean, that's a problem for Putin, and then maybe we see something worse. So there's some updates for you. I will keep you updated on this because all eyes are on it. And by the way, if you don't hear it from me, you're probably going to hear it from somebody else, but I would love for you to hear hopefully some good news from me. But listening is what Trump is going to do, and he'll know. He said his quote was, I'll know within 2 minutes if he wants to make a deal. All righty. Well, we talked about this yesterday. Just want to give you a quick reminder. I'm not going to go over this once again, but a new analysis shows the foreign-born population in the United States has plummeted to 2.2 million. The part that I left out yesterday, because I got a little over myself, a little too far ahead of myself, I guess I should say, was the reason why stuff like this is important is because a lot of eyes are zooming in on what's happening over there in Europe, specifically with Germany, most notably the United Kingdom. This is something we've talked about on my website, where if you go to my website, baldbrad.com, okay, up here I have a blog. Okay, I've written a few articles for you. One of them is the most recent intelligence scandal that's taking place with Tulsi Gabbard, the Obama administration, all that stuff. These are really good reads. But then, I take you through The socialist threat, why Zohran Mamdani's agenda will destroy New York City. You know, these types of things are important, but most important is this article here. The looming immigration crisis, Europe's warning for America. If you haven't just sat down and read this piece, I give you my citations. I give you where my stats are coming from. I give you the years of which they're coming from, because sometimes you're not going to get the same study done year over year over year. These are very expensive. So, I have that there for you. But what this is talking about is how the culture of these countries are changing. And it's not just the cultures of the country changing. What's happening is crime is going through the roof. And these people are coming in and they're being put into office from other countries, or they are the firstborn of said country. And they're adopting those policies from the countries of which their parents are coming from, not to benefit the country of which they're in. And so they're changing the dynamic. And there's countries right now that are starting to change. They're starting to wake up to this, most specifically in the European Union. You could see this in is it Ireland or Scotland? One of the two, just most recently pushed back on what their government was doing by allowing their culture to change. I mean, you will get to the point where you're not going to see a culture there anymore. The culture in this case would be basically Islam. It'd be like the religion of Islam. You got a lot of Muslims coming in and stuff like that as well. So we got that there for you. Also, let's go to the chat really quick. Talk about stupid selling our land to foreigners. Absolutely. Now, when people say that, here's the thing. When you say selling your land to foreigners, the left automatically think that you're, oh, look at this racist, you know, an immigrant can't buy land. I know what you're talking about. And I know, and I'm not going to twist your words. I'm assuming, and I could make an ass out of myself here, but I'm assuming you're talking about China. Why are we allowing China to buy up our farmland right next to our military installations? Yeah, I don't think that should be a thing. And by the way, I don't think the American government in China is even allowed to do that. I don't think the American government is allowed to go to China and say, you know, I want to buy this plot of land right here, right next to your military installation. I could be wrong, but the way that we just let people get away with everything because we think we're the country, we're so wealthy that we should just let people run all over us. No? Like what? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Here's some updates regarding the border wall that we talked about yesterday. Again, if you're new to the Bald Brad Show, welcome. Hit that like button if you can. It does support us. And by the way, shout out to all those that use the website. We're getting more people coming in doing the website yesterday, doing the donation. So let me see. I thought we had somebody. I think it was Pat that did the donation yesterday. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody through the website here real quick. Give me one moment. It gives me an instant email if you end up doing the Bald Brad Show through my website. So thank you to everybody that donates. Karen, I did get your email, by the way. Thank you. But anyways, so what we have here is Trump will put it up. Trump says he's getting border wall materials back after Biden sold them. Now, this is just a little bit of an update. And you go, well, Brad, there seems to be a lot of stories that we've talked about this week that are kind of coming up again. That's when you know it's a slow news cycle, is when they're regurgitating stories, but there's some slight updates in it. And so basically you're trying to find within these regurgitated stories new material. So that's why it's important to go through this to see if you can find that gem of, okay, what's going on here. So Trump vowed Wednesday, which was yesterday, to complete the border wall with materials that President Joe Biden sold off for pennies on the dollar. The president spoke with the press on Wednesday at the Kennedy Center after announcing the recipients of the annual Kennedy Center honors. You know what's weird? Do you remember that back in his first term, I always talk about the scene in the Oval Office between Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, where Trump's fighting with them about getting the border wall. And then Nancy was like, it's a fence, Donald. It's a fence. And it's like, well, whatever. You have a wall around your house. There's a wall. There's walls everywhere. Walls work. And they were saying walls don't work. Okay, we don't need to rehash that out. We know walls work. That's why we build them. Hell, look at Israel. There's a reason why the Chinese built the freaking Great Wall of China for a reason. Do you think they just decided to go, let's just do this? There's a big wall. There's a huge wall right here. We're going to build it. Not going to stop a damn thing, but we're going to do it anyway. I don't care. Like, come on, give me a break, Nancy. Anyways, walls work. But there was so much pushback. Do you remember that? Oh, walls are racist. Walls are bigoted. Walls are xenophobic, right? Any word they can attribute to wall. But I haven't heard really much about him because he's building the wall right now. I mean, you could go watch them build it in real time right now. I haven't really heard much about him building a border wall this entire time. I think there's so much going on. They kind of forgot that Trump's building the wall again. We're taking that wall back is what he said. I love it. So he pointed out that Biden's administration's effort to sell the wall material were off. This is what I wanted to get to. They sold the wall, the president said. This is expensive stuff. Hardened steel, very expensive. 9,000 pound concrete and rebar. Rebar is very expensive, the hardest rebar. It's very hard to cut. They have different materials. It's very hard to cut. They cut it down if they can. It's very hard to cut. It's funny. Like, and I totally get this, that he's repeating himself, because when you're trying to explain the gravity of certain situations, or you're trying to explain something that might be abstract because people aren't aware that there's different types of steel. You just know steel is steel. And so he's as a guy that builds stuff, sometimes you don't know how to explain how hard of a steel it is, other than like, look, you can't cut through the damn thing. It's difficult, you know? And you almost start stuttering because you're trying to think, like, how do I explain this to a normal person, how difficult this stuff is? You can't cut it. You can't cut it. Jesus Christ, how many times do I have to say it? You can't cut this shit, okay? There's steel, rebar, more steel, cut. You cannot do it. X-nay, cut-nay. I love it. Trump is so funny, man. You know what? I mean, it will be an end of the era when his presidency's done. It's kind of sad. And I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago. I hope even when he's done, he still does rallies that we can cover here. You know what I mean? We can still do some Trump rallies. Because remember, guys, we got to do that all the time. It was so fun. We got to come in here. And I mean, we still get to hang out every day, which is freaking awesome, by the way. Thank you. We have the best community on social media. Our community's small, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. We pack a punch, baby. Let me tell you. Look, we were at the Orange. Do I need a hashtag where we've been? We've been on freaking Project Veritas with James O'Keefe before. We're a small channel. By the way, we were really small back then. We were streaming at the RNC, man. Not every streamer, even the big streamers, get to stream at the RNC. We were one of them, next to Steven Crowder and Donald Trump Jr. Hell, we were made aware of to the team of Dan Bongino. Project Veritas, we were on Legends highlight reel with all the other congressmen. I mean, the list goes on. We pack a punch, baby, and it's all because of our community, not the show. It's because of the community. So appreciate all of you for joining us. But man, it would be cool to get those Trump rallies. We had so much fun, didn't we? We had so much fun. Dave, they are looking into that. Dave says Rumble execs don't give a bleep about the stream pausing. They are looking into that. Other people are aware. If you want... why don't I do this, Dave? If you want to contribute, not money, but to help, let me see if I can find it really quick on my profile. There is a Rumble group that you can join, which I'm a part of. Let me see really quick. I might not be able to get to it that fast. There is a Rumble group run by Pudge. Let me see if he has it on his. There's a community that you can join. A Rumble community. I'll see if I can find it. But if you follow Pudge TV, he's a Rumble gaming ambassador, but he runs a site on Rumble on X, but it's for Rumble that you can give your feedback on, and the executives and people in the Rumble community look at that and they take our advice and they run with it. So it's something people are made aware of. I mean, Rumble's trying their best. This is something you guys don't know this, but I was part of YouTube. I used to have a show on YouTube and a vlog way back. You're going almost 20 years ago that I did. What Rumble is experiencing is very much what YouTube experienced early on. The problem is that it's just hard to remember all the way back then. And by the way, you didn't experience it because, you know, it wasn't a loud enough platform back then. Not many people were actually on it, believe it or not. Twitter permabanned me for exposing pedos. Oh, well. Seems like you're having a lot of problems with social media there, Dave. Sucker. Just kidding, that sucks. Alrighty, let's get into some other news here. Let me actually go to my Twitter page, believe it or not. There's a couple things I want to point out here. This is kind of going outside of politics just for a moment. I want to make you aware because I'll probably do a short video on it for Supernatural Saturdays. But there's a clip here on my X page. I'm not going to play it because I want to reserve it for, again, Supernatural Saturdays. She basically said that there's aliens. Like, the reason why I say she was talking about we have interdimensional beings that are coming in. And it's not like one of those things where she's like, well, it might be. There's credible witnesses movement. She's talked about how she's physically with her own eyes seen craft and certain things. So it's 4 minutes, 29 seconds. Highly recommend if you're into UFO type stuff. I believe this was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I listened to it this morning. Bonkers, dude. Bonkers. Also, by the way, rocket, dude. Holy lordy. She dressed up big time for Joe. So there you have it. There you have it. Well, Jen Psaki, I saw this. So this isn't going to make sense to a lot of people because you'd have to have been in our Dark MAGA podcast. And as I've always said, I tried to bring you guys updates on old stories or even relatively newer stories we've covered. So we covered the White House press briefing on Tuesday, the last 2 days ago. And the person in the new media seat was Benny Johnson. Okay. Benny Johnson with a straight face asked Caroline Leavitt about Big Balls, the guy from Doge that got beat up. But it was straight faced. We were howling as a community. We were laughing so hard about it. Matter of fact, it's one of the few clips ever that the community asked me to replay the clip. We had to go back and play it again because people thought it was so funny. Jen Psaki is losing her mind, allegedly, on MSNBC about Benny Johnson asking this question. Troy, thank you so much. That's for the Trump impersonation. Nailed it. Appreciate the $5, man. Thank you. That helps support the show. God bless you. Appreciate that. A longtime supporter. Glad to have you back in the chat there, Troy. It's good to see you again. I know you were here yesterday and I believe the day before and, well, many days before that. So here she is, Jen Psaki. Woof.
Oh, boy. Okay. Right-wing YouTuber Benny Johnson. Let's do this.
Nancy Pelosi has attacked the president for deploying the National Guard to the city, saying that it is to cover for his incompetence. Hillary Clinton has also attacked the president for securing the city of Washington, D.C. I'd like to get your response, follow-up to that. Given the heroic actions of a member of this administration just a few blocks from this building, will the president consider giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Big Balls?
Well, Benny, I have to hand it to you. That didn't disappoint with the insanity of that question. But first off, I mean, Nancy Pelosi is right. The deployment of the National Guard is definitely not about actually lowering the crime rate. That has been going down. It's about changing the subject. It's about normalizing military in the streets. It's about a lot of things. As for Big Balls, which I can't believe we have to say on a TV show, but here we are in 2025. I mean, what happened to him was horrible, and I wish him a speedy recovery. Everybody should. But the people who typically receive the Medal of Freedom have decades of public service or storied careers under their belts. They aren't a 19-year-old software engineer. So I don't see how he would make the nomination list. But then again, this is a Donald Trump presidency, so who knows?
So anyways, you could tell she didn't like that. But remember, you know, the decorum. Like, Jen, you would have been the worst White House press secretary in American history. And now it's probably why she put up Karine Jean-Pierre, because she, meaning Jen Psaki, didn't want to go down as the worst White House press secretary. So she had to nominate and put forward somebody that was actually worse than her, which is a hard thing to do and find, believe it or not. But she did it. And by the way, she nailed it because Karine Jean-Pierre is by far, not even close, the worst White House press secretary in American history. And that's a hard thing to do. It really is a hard thing to do because not only, I mean, listen carefully, not only was Joe Biden the worst president in American history, before it was Barack Obama, now it's Joe Biden, but Kamala Harris was arguably one of the worst vice presidents in American history. And then you also had, and by the way, I don't think we'll ever see this again, this trio, the worst White House press secretary in American history. You had the worst DHS secretary in American history, Alejandro Mayorkas. I mean, and the list really does go on. I don't think we'll ever see I hope not, and I hope this is true, that we will ever see anything like it again in our lifetimes. It is pretty remarkable stuff. Well, folks, speaking of pretty remarkable stuff, I would like you to set your clocks right now, mark your calendars, open them up, and buckle up for the best NFL primetime football action, baby. Starting September 4th, coming up here very soon on Westwood One, you can catch all the bone-crushing hits, last-second heroics, and the theatrics and edge of your seat action that NFL Thursday, Sunday, and Monday nights has to offer, baby. Whether you're tailgating, driving, or you're chilling at home, enjoying your time, don't miss a single snap. Listen on the NFL app, the Westwood One Sports app, at westwoodonesports.com. Again, that's westwoodonesports.com. Or just say, Alexa, open your Westwood One Sports. If it's in the NFL, it's on Westwood One. I've gotten into football in recent years, the last 5 years, and I've watched more and more NFL football, even for me as a hockey fan. So this is something I'm definitely going to check out myself. westwoodonesports.com. Make sure you check that out if you're an NFL fan. If you're not, I think it's a good idea to take a little peek-see into the NFL, and Westwood One's the place to go. They do it top notch. They're an outlet that takes, let me tell you, NFL seriously, and go ahead and give them a shout by scanning that QR code on your screen with your cell phone, iPad, or whatever has a camera, and open up that QR code and get that westwoodonesports.com open and checking out their NFL package. Appreciate you, Westwood One, for sponsoring the show. NCAA tune in, baby. Appreciate you guys. All righty. So there's our sponsor. This is kind of cool. And let me make sure we have this on the screen, because yesterday we were making a couple mistakes there. We got Scott Pressler, who you are all aware of. Scott Pressler, this is a big deal, especially for me because I live in California, announces plans to officially place voter ID on the ballots in California and Washington, and the end of automatic vote by mail in Oregon. This is absolutely massive for beginning to dilute the Democrat cheating in their strongholds. This is huge because, remember, not only are we trying to redistrict certain areas because of the gerrymandering that was done by Democrats, and yes, Republicans have done it too, but it's most notable along racial lines by the Democrat Party. So we're trying to fix that whole shindig. But also, there's a lot of people that are illegally voting in elections. And if you say that it's not happening, give me a break. I live here in California. You could walk up and say that you're somebody's name. Cool, here's your ballot. If you think that people aren't voting illegally, you'll go, well, it's not enough to sway the election. First, how do you know that? Have you looked at the stats yourself? Really? You know that for sure? Because we saw a stat that said after the original election, after the Joe Biden election, 17% to 21% admitted to voter fraud. 17 to 21% admitted to voter fraud. There was another 21 to 23% or something like that. I got to pull up the stats again. This was a while ago. Admitted to having somebody vote on their behalf, filling out their stuff and sending on their behalf, not even having a clue what's being filled out. There's voter fraud going on. Big time. And a lot of it, I think, is happening in California. California's turning red, man. Believe it or not, it's being squished to the coast because all the rich people love to think they're holier than thou and tell all of us what to do. But we don't like that very much. So he said rumors are true. As soon as our elections in New Jersey and Pennsylvania are over this November, let's actually go to it. I'm coming to California, Oregon, and Washington. We're going to get voter ID on the ballot in California, Washington. We'll end automatic vote by mail in Oregon. This guy's pretty impressive, man. I didn't really know much about him before this last election. This guy busts his butt. I mean, look, he's the one that walks the walk and talks the talk. You know what I mean? He's doing both. This guy's a hard worker. This is one of those guys that gets his feet on the ground and gets dirty. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Scott, dude. Look, a lot of us don't do that. A lot of us, even myself, I'm not like that guy. I mean, I don't know if this is his full-time job, but imagine it is. Imagine he's being funded, right, through some sort of, I don't know, think tank, or somebody's funding this guy to help him do this type of work. And good for him. He should. not saying he shouldn't get paid. He should get paid a lot of money, by the way. This guy should probably be making over $100,000 for the work that he does. That's great stuff for the Republican Party. But here nor there, shout out to Scott Pressler for doing things great. And, you know, Jeff always gets something great over there in Pennsylvania. And that is, that's Scott Pressler. So one of the main reasons I think Trump won Pennsylvania was because of Scott Pressler. And I think there's an argument to be had there, but I think I'm right in what I'm saying there. Or else I wouldn't have said it. We have here Scott Jennings. Like, we always have to do a Scott Jennings clip. You guys love Scott. Even if it doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, we still have to somehow inject Scott into the show because the guy's a freaking national treasure. He should be immortalized right next to our founding documents. The guy is so great. So here's Scott on CNN, I believe just yesterday. And you know where every conversation goes from the Democrats, and you're going to hear it here. Anytime you bring up anything, they always have to go to one point in history. Here we go.
As a punditry matter would be, well, let's see where we are at the end of 30 days. How much progress have they made? And then Congressman can make an assessment at that point about whether this is working, and maybe it would help to extend it a little bit.
I guess I'm old enough, Scott, to remember when you were appalled, as the rest of us were, on January 6th, when he wouldn't.
Because January 6th happened, should we not enforce the law today?
Excuse me.
Do you want murders today?
Let me finish, Scott. I know
January 6th equals no enforcement of mercy. This is a silly argument.
No, let me finish before you make a point about a silly
argument.
It'll
be silly, but go ahead.
What's silly is you sitting down with Mitch McConnell over Chick-fil-A and lamenting how Donald Trump was putting all of you, including Mitch McConnell, in harm's way. But I guess now you're so...
I wasn't in harm's way. I was in Louisville.
No, you're then boss. Your friend Mitch McConnell certainly was. But, you know, now...
January 6th was a bad day.
Can I finish?
Murders are also bad.
Can I finish?
I want murder solved.
Can I finish?
Just let her finish.
Scott's going to...
Well, if she wants to come out here and take pot shots at me, I'm not going to allow it. It's a stupid argument. I'm not going to allow it.
Scott, just let her finish. I don't even know that we've even heard the argument
yet. No, we heard it. We heard
that you were debating. So go ahead,
Scott,
Julie.
I know you're thirsty for that Senate seat, but let me finish. What I'm going to say...
I mean, you allow this every night.
Scott, just give me 1 second here. Let's just let her finish, please.
Okay.
Just one.
Doesn't she remind you of like the school print? Have you guys seen that movie? The Santa Claus with Tim Allen, and you know how they have that one scene where they meet with the principal, and maybe I just pull it up, and this is exactly what the principal sounds like in the Santa Claus, where Tim Allen's the one that's speaking common sense and logic, and then everybody else sounds like a freaking idiot. So let me see if I can find that. It's just it takes total sense here. Let me finish it and we'll play it.
Listen, I know you've got the picky thing going on, but here's what I'm going to say.
What are you thirsty for? Some kind of relevance out here?
No, actually, Scott.
I don't know what you do for a living.
All right. Here we go.
The reason we're here is that this is far more serious than a boy believing or not believing in Santa Claus.
That's right, because Charlie thinks that this whole thing actually happened.
Scott, what was the last thing you and Charlie did before you went to bed Christmas Eve?
We shared a bowl of sugar and some shots of brown liquor, played with my shotguns, field-dressed a cat, looked for women. I read him a book.
What book?
Hollywood Wives. The night before Christmas. Folks, come on.
And did you go to the North Pole?
This is ridiculous. I don't have time for this.
Ridiculous or not, Scott.
Doesn't she
Charlie,
sound
this
like her?
isn't some dream. It is real. You need to sit down with Charlie. Explain to him you are not Santa Claus.
Dude, doesn't that sound exactly like what this chick sounds like? Scott, please. I mean, the names even match. Close your eyes and listen to that scene again. Scott, just let her finish. Scott, shut up. You drive me nuts. So shout out to Scott for always dealing with the shenanigans. And by the way, just kind of getting fed up at some point with it all. You know, you get these lefties on here that January 6th. January 6th this. It's like, isn't it amazing that they don't ever bring up the Black Lives Matter stuff, that billions of dollars with a B. Please understand this, not with an M, billions of dollars in damages across the United States. Not a peep. Not a peep. By the way, people were killed in Black Lives Matter. People were shot. People were rapied. Like, vastly way worse, in my opinion, than January 6th. Vastly worse. January 6th had millions of damages, not hundreds of millions, not 20s of millions, millions of dollars in damages, and one person got deleted. It was shot in the neck, I believe. And it wasn't even a police officer. Nothing was burned down. You had a couple poles, right? That had the leather, the velvet poles that keep people in line pushed over. And maybe I think somebody took a dump on Nancy Pelosi's desk. Other than that, that's pretty much what it was. So, but January 6th was so terrible. It's like, really? Then why'd you only show us 6 minutes? The same 6 minutes for years when you had 40,000 hours of footage. Yeah, you heard that correctly. 6 minutes. We all saw the same 6 minutes for like years, but we never saw the other 40,000 hours, 1,000 hours of footage. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Sure. You have this here, which usually there's some sort of connection to be had to the economy and how things are going. A recent Gallup poll survey reveals that alcohol consumption in the United States has dropped to its lowest level in 90 years, with only 54% of adults drinking. This decline is largely driven by an increase in health awareness, which is true, especially now with a lot of these insurance companies, these healthcare providers. You can get an app on your phone and it will ask, do you drink? Like, when was the last time you had a drink and all these things? And they'll actually pay you. Or in other words, I guess it's more like giving money back if you go get a wellness check, if you're healthy, if you're doing this or doing that. And anybody that's trying to lose weight or trying to be healthy again, well, one of the things you cut out is the sodies and the alcohol. And you will shed a ton of weight off just right off the beginning. And, I think this is true. But also there is something to be said that when things are getting better, people don't drink as much. You're not trying to cut the edge of just trying to get through the day or get through the year because things are rough, like we had with Joey. This decline is largely driven by an increase in health awareness, with significant reductions observed among Republicans, women, and the 35 to 54 age group. Well, that makes sense too, because again, there's a large conservative group within the Republican Party. And I'm not saying Republicans are holier than thou. It's always a frustrating talking point to me when people are like, well, there's Republican women and men that go to church, but they're sleeping around. Yeah, welcome to sin. Hence why they're going to church and trying to resolve it. It's like somebody that's drinking and they're trying to resolve it, or they're stopped smoking and they're going and seeking help. Well, look at that person. Oh, they're still smoking cigarettes, but they're trying to cut it off. At least they're trying. At least they're trying to make themselves better. There's a difference between, by the way, I want to be clear here. This is one thing people always get wrong within scripture. There's a difference between judging and discerning. You're not supposed to judge people, but you can discern between good and evil and right and wrong. You are 100% allowed to discern. And people, in the face of discernment, think that you're judging them. Just want to throw that out there for all of you. Again, a little bit of Bible talk for you. It's one of the main things when I used to teach a Bible study, I had to decipher for somebody. So there's a difference between judging somebody and discerning somebody. God actually tells you and commands you to discern between good and evil, right and wrong. Despite the decrease in the number of drinkers, alcohol sales remain stable, indicating that those who do drink might be consuming more per person. This shift in drinking habits reflects broader societal changes towards health consciousness, which is good. Drinking is not good for you. I actually do not drink that much. Maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months. I'm really not a big drinker. My friends like to joke around there's otherwise because I tend to like rum. Nowadays, I don't drink as much beer really at all because it bloats. It doesn't sit well with me the older I get. But man, I could slam a lot of rum down, let me tell you. I'm like Johnny Depp, Jack Sparrow, baby. There's a point I wanted to make here, though. Where was it? Alcohol sales remain stable. And that more people per person might be drinking. Maybe. But it's also within, I don't know if this sale is attributed to, and I don't know how you would track this. I guess you have to scan your ID, but you see this age 35 to 54 group. There's a significant reduction there. So that significant reduction plays into that 54%. I might be overthinking this, right? So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. But this alcohol sale, I would imagine, attributes to ages 18 all the way up. So there might be a little bit of some manipulation going on there. Today's Thursday. Are we watching Dark MAGA later? Absolutely. We will be watching Dark MAGA today at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It will be on Rumble Premium only, but we have verification. Everybody listen up. This is good news. This is good news. Rumble changed. So before, to be able to watch Rumble Premium only content, you had to buy I think it was $99 Rumble Premium package, and that lets you watch Rumble Premium across the entire platform of Rumble. So it's restricted to viewership. And us as content creators that are a part of Rumble, like we're partnered with Rumble, we have to do a certain amount of hours every month under Rumble Premium content, which makes sense. But now the other pathway to get in and watch and hang out with us during Rumble Premium, just like you are now over at Rumble, is that if you become a member over at Rumble to my channel, just like you are maybe a member over at YouTube, if you become a member, which by the way, Rumble takes less of a cut than YouTube does. It only makes, I'm surprised. Don't take offense to this, you guys. I'm actually surprised there's a lot of people still members over at YouTube and not Rumble, but that's fine. You put your money, you're supporting the show. I appreciate it. But we get more of the money over at Rumble if you become a member over there. And by the way, not only that, it actually makes more sense for you to come over to Rumble because then you can also partake in the Rumble Premium content. So now if you're a member over at Rumble, yeah, you lose your badge over at YouTube. I know who you are. It doesn't really matter. Everybody knows who you are. We got a lot. Everybody's a regular in here. You can come hang out with us on Rumble Premium only content. So in my opinion, if I had to give advice, doesn't mean I had to listen to it. I would take my membership from YouTube and I would put it over at Rumble because then at least you get to hang out with us a few days out of the week on top of what we already do. And then, yeah, sure, you can wait till the tail end of the month. And then when Rumble Premium opens up to everybody because our Dark Mag opens up to everybody because we met our requirements, well, then, you can go that route. I just want to say, I think it's more of a bang for your buck to go over to Rumble. Because again, not only are you actually supporting your content creator more, but you also get more content. So I just want to throw that out to all of you. Is Kick not going to happen? No, I just didn't. Kick is acting funny, but I can open up Kick right now. We're live on Kick. There you go, Dave. Dave and Pat are like the only two people that go watch on Kick, but God bless you. Shout out to Dave, by the way. Dave, I love you. I called Dave an a-hole yesterday. It kind of bothered me. I called a lot of people. I called everybody an asshole. Okay, can we hash this out real quick? Come on. Just so you guys know, I think you guys know this yesterday. I think that we are so close to friends that when I was like, yeah, you assholes, like it was, I was not literally calling you guys a-holes. I just want to be clear. It kind of messed me up on my way. Once I got done streaming the show, I was like, I don't know if they actually know that I was just joking. It might've been too much. But I think you guys got that, right? That I love you. Do not take that personal. If you took that personal, you do not know me and that's my fault. But do not take that personal. Matter of fact, I'm not going to do it again. I'm bothered when I'm not called and blah, blah. I'm bothered when I'm not. But you guys understand what I mean. I was like, maybe I should have done that because people sometimes can't read me. And so I was like, I'm not going to do that again. I shouldn't have done that. So that's how I think, by the way. I'm like driving to work yesterday. Yeah, I know majority of the people in here are cool. And not that you're not cool, but I shouldn't have done it is what I'm saying. I shouldn't have done it. Not that, again, I didn't mean it. I didn't literally mean you guys. You guys know how I am. I don't need to explain this to you. But there might have been a few people in here like, that wasn't cool, man. Like, why'd you do that? So, anywho, Brad, you can call me whatever you want. Show, Jesus, Jeff. Simmer down, Jeff. Dark Mag is later, Jeff. Jesus. Anyways, you guys know how I am. I come out at, oh boy, we got somebody coming up here. Oh boy, I'm just going to put her on the screen for you so you know. Dude, she's a rocket though. I'm telling you, she's good looking. We love Trump. We get it. Yeah. See, that's the thing, right? I think, and Lulu, I think said it perfectly. Trump that's how he talks. That's how guys talk. That's how I am. Like you should see how I talk to my friends and my friends talk to me. We tame it down when the ladies are around, but anyways, Brad, we're not liberals. We could take it. I love that, Jeff. Thank you, sir. But still, I was like, maybe they didn't see it as the joke and it gets misread. Anyways, all right, moving on. Jasmine Crockett here. I hate to give you some Scott Jennings stuff. Maybe we'll cleanse our palate after this clip here. I don't know what she's saying, but let's hear. Hold on a second. Putting on the headphones.
It is funny because when people think about Black women, they think about
Sorry, it's just always about race. It is always about race. I don't think about white women. I don't think about Black women. I don't think about women all that much, to be honest. It might seem like, because I'm like, oh, she's a rocket. I mean, I like to call out when people are hot. Folks, if you were part of Dark MAGA, I said Benny Johnson's a handsome guy. Benny Johnson's a rocket for women. Benny Johnson's a good looking guy. And I paused the video so the women can look at it, actually. I help everybody out.
it is funny because when people think about Black women, they think about our strength. They think about how, usually we're juggling so much and we're doing so much and we're still going to school and we're doing all the things. And part of it is unfair because at the end of the day, we are still but humans. But because it is funny because when people think about Black women, they...
Okay, hold on a second. This was better than I thought. We might not need a palate cleanser. I'm listening to it again. I stopped listening after a little while because I was laughing so hard. I was trying to contain myself. My eyes are watering. When you have to hold in your laughter, your eyes start watering.
They think about our strength. They think about how, usually we're juggling so much and we're doing so much and we're still going to school and we're doing all the things. And part of it is unfair because at the end of the day, we are still but humans.
Okay. Everybody does that. Hold on, we got to go to the comments here. We have to. Oh, Jesus! Maybe we don't go to the comments. She forgot to add this. Oh my God. Okay, I'm just going to the comments. I'm not saying I believe this, but she forgot to add this. The crime they commit, like this. These 3 Black women filled their cart with goodies. Oh boy. Are they going to close the trunk? Oh. Wow. Offended by everything, ashamed of nothing, entitled to everything, contributing nothing. Jeez, dude, these comments are ruthless, bro. Whoa. All right. Well, maybe we won't go to the comments. Wow. Dude, I'm telling you, people are ruthless nowadays, dude. They don't give bleep whatever they say on social media. So, well, that took a weird turn for me, and I think a lot of people. What happened to her ghetto accent? No, that's like AOC. All that stuff only comes out when the audience is the right audience. Yeah. So, yeah, you give a New York accent when you're in front of New Yorkers, but then you give a Southern accent when you're down there in Alabama, and then you give the whatever accent, Hispanic accent, when you're over there in Florida. Hell, I don't know. Anywho, let's go to the chat. X comments can be rare. The opposite of strong. You guys are ruthless. You guys are ruthless as well sometimes. Alrighty. Well, let's do one more thing. Let's end off with something good here. Let's do something nice for the people. Let's see here. Let's see what we got. Let me see if I can find something good for y'all. That doesn't want you to bang your head against the wall. Let's do this. This is nice. It's always nice when you have to see CNN admitting things. This guy's grown on me, by the way. The guy over at CNN, for those on audio, there's that guy that switches, speaking of switching his accent. Remember how he was switching between like a New York accent and then like a normal accent? And then he was like very animated. That's this guy. So here he is.
Okay, I think this sort of gives the game away here because Donald Trump is like Air Jordan towering over Joe Biden when it comes to their handling of crime. Look, in 2024, look at where Biden's net approval was on crime. Way underwater there at minus 26 points. It was one.
Did you see how he went from a normal accent to like all of a sudden like a New Yorker plus or minus?
The water there at minus 26 points. It was one of Biden's worst issues. Granted, pretty much every issue was one of Biden's worst issues. And again, look at where Donald Trump is. Way, way, way above Joe Biden. What is that? That's 27 points. So Americans vastly prefer Donald Trump's approach to crime than they did to Joe Biden's. Trump's approach vastly prefer Donald Trump's approach to crime. Vastly prefer Donald Trump's approach to crime than they did. Vastly prefer Donald Trump's approach to crime than they did to Joe Biden's.
Yes,
and again,
sir.
I think it gets back to the point that Americans are far more hawkish on crime than a lot of Democrats want to admit. Yeah, okay. I think this sort
folks. Okay, how do I explain this? This is kind of like when Donald Trump's trying to talk to people about steel. This is me trying to talk to people about statistics. I actually don't know how to put in the words how insane this differential is. I actually don't have words to describe how wild of a difference this is. This is so far apart. His analogies are not wrong. I'll give it to him. It's not wrong. Miss Mom asked, do you still do Dark Mag on YouTube? Only when we've met our hours over at Rumble. So we have to do 5 or 6 hours a month over at Rumble only in premium content. So if we only do an hour if we only do 2 hours every week, it usually takes about half the month to 3/4 of the month to get through our normal contractual agreement on Rumble. So it's usually the last week and a half, if we're lucky, 2 weeks of the month that we open up to X, YouTube, and everybody. So we still do it. It's always best if you're over at Rumble. That way you just have it all the time. Because there's sometimes I'm not able to do Dark Maga because I'm at work or something, right? So, sometimes then that means that, we have to go back another half a week because we only do Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I've only been doing an hour because I'm just so busy. So that means 2 and 2. That means by week three, you're able to hop in, maybe best case scenario, that Thursday. And then that following week, that Tuesday, Thursday. So you only get 3 Dark Maga episodes if you're not a part of the Rumble premium content. That's why I think it really does make sense to just go over to Rumble, leave your subscription, cancel your subscription over at YouTube and head to Rumble. That way you can just hang out with us every Tuesday, Thursday. You know what I mean? So, and it's up to you. Please don't feel like you guys I always say this, right? It's your money. Never going to tell you what to do with it. You work hard for it. Do what you think is best. But that's just me. If I had to give advice to somebody, like, this is what I would do with it. But anywho. So yes, it still would be open to YouTube. And that's a new thing, by the way. That is a brand new thing that Rumble just opened up a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So that's why I didn't tell you to do it before, because it didn't really make sense before. I get it. Some of you have that $2.99 option over here at YouTube, and you're like, I get the content, I get to help out, and then I get the content later on in the month. Some of you are cool with that. So I guess I'll have to give up on YouTube. You come hang out on Rumble's a great program. I mean, really, I love it. So they treat us great over there. So, but yeah. I mean, Bets, like, for example, Bets has Rumble Premium, and she watches the premium content over at Rumble for other people's stuff. So she actually pays the big one. And what's cool about that is you can go on Tim Pool's stuff, like the after show. And what you'll see is creators will talk totally different on Rumble premium content only, because it's restricted, than they would on YouTube or somewhere else. So I think it's beneficial because you get to see a content creator act differently and talk differently, and more, honestly, free speech in a way. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe Bets can talk about that in the chat if maybe she sees that same thing. Maybe she doesn't, and I could be wrong, but that's what I've seen, at least the people that I watch. And I pay the $99 option out of my own pocket. You guys are not paying the Rumble premium option for me. I just want to be clear. I've always said that. My money that I get from my outside job goes to me paying Rumble Premium. It's a whole 2 separate cards. I just want to be clear on that. The Rumble Premium that I pay for, anything that I pay for my own usage, does not come out of you guys. So I just want to be clear on that. Please post your YouTube shorts here on Rumble. I will try to do a better job of that. It's not super friendly. It takes a few extra steps, but I will try to do a better job at that, Karen. When Washington, but I'll try to do a better job. With that being said, I have to go to work. I have a hard out at 7 at 7:02. We'll be back here later today, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Dark Maga. If you want to know how that's different than this show we go over a bunch of different news, right? A bunch of different clips. Sometimes Dark Maga is like that, but usually we will watch like a White House press briefing and we'll roll into some other stuff, or if there's breaking news, we'll kind of watch that and talk about it. We'll engage with the comments a lot more. It's more inclusive group there. There's usually like 20 to 30 people in the chat, or at least watching. So, and then there's hundreds that watch after, but come hang out with us if you can. And I look forward to seeing you guys later today. Look, the meeting's tomorrow. So pray for that meeting. Pray for those in the chat, because some of us have health issues or are doing some sort of surgeries or things like that. Pray for everybody. I think it's important. Let God guide your steps today. Really, let God do that. So with that being said, love you guys. Take care of one another. And I'll see you a little bit later today here on the Bull Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.